Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi.
So today, I don't know, it's a little neither fish nor fowl because I wanted to play the Quintet trilogy of games, but as I see them, they're not strictly JRPGs. At least I've only played one of them now, but it feels like it's in that gray zone between JRPG and action game. And so rather than try and figure out...
It reminds me of the great RPG, The Legend of Zelda.
Rather than trying to figure out, like, does this fit, does it not fit, we're going to do the Quintet trilogy just as side quests. We're just going to play the games and we're just going to talk about them. So it's not going to be as structured with all the sections and everything, but we're going to play them. We're going to talk about them.
Unlike the regular episodes where we have a song and dance number every episode.
Yeah, so far I've had to cut that out of every episode, but we're going to get it right one time.
Yeah.
This one will feature a dancing tulip.
Nice. Yes.
But yes, Russ and Chris are here, and yeah, we're here to talk about Soul Blazer today, the first of the Quintet trilogy on the Super
The
Nintendo.
inferior one, but still worth playing.
Everything's got to start somewhere.
That's true. It's actually my favorite of the three.
Nice.
It's the only one of the three I've played so far.
Oh,
so, I mean, that's kind of what the dynamic of the show has always been, is Russ is playing things for the 100th time, and I'm playing them for the first.
Except for
most
Triangle
of the time.
Strategy,
Yeah, Triangle Strategy flipped it.
which was the best episode.
But, so yeah, I played the game a couple of times, bits and pieces of it when I was younger, but I never played it all the way through. I never had it. I had a friend who rented it. I think I probably rented it once. I emulated it once. But it wasn't until I basically, now that I have a book report due on it, I was able to sit down and finish the whole thing. So, I mean, I like the game. I mean, we can just start there.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah,
It's fine.
I love it.
I like the game. The feeling, so I don't know, people who haven't played it, I guess, a large part of the progression of the game is you unseal the souls of the world by defeating monster nests, right? So you go out on an adventure.
Why are the people trapped? Do you remember?
Because of the big bad guy.
Because the greedy king sold their souls to the evil guy for 1 gold piece each.
I did not remember
Wasn't
that.
it his wife? Wasn't...
Yeah, well, yeah, that's spoilers, but yes.
Okay.
It turns out somebody else was behind all this.
Yes.
But so the idea is you go into these adventuring areas, and there are little glowing panels that monsters spawn from. You kill all the monsters. They spawn a limited number of monsters. You kill all the monsters. You step on the switch. Something happens. Now, either it unlocks a path, or it, raises an elevator or whatever in the area that you're in, so you can continue to progress, or
It revives a goat.
Exactly.
or it revives the soul of a living creature / plant
Yeah.
in the nearby town and like the area around them. So if you revive a blacksmith, you also revive the blacksmith's house and smithy. You revive an old woman, well, there's her house. So bit by bit, you're rebuilding the world as you travel to try and defeat the darkness. That's the basic playing of this game.
Word.
And I really like that feeling of progression, right? Like, it is actual, tangible, look at the good you're doing in the world.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. It kind of captured that same spirit that ActRaiser did of you're fighting, but you're also restoring, which is something that will come back in the series as it goes on.
I will say, one thing I do find disappointing about the game as you go on is, apart from boss battles, there's not really a lot of strategy to this game. Generally speaking, you find a good place to stand near a monster nest and swing your sword a lot as the monsters come at you. It's largely about finding the sweet spot where you can kill the monsters and not get hit, most of the time. There are exceptions. There are monsters who are immune to this kind of sword or this kind of magic, and you got to use some strategy. There's invisible monsters, and you have to unlock the soul that lets you see invisible things and that. But so much of it is just, all right, where's the sweet spot? Stand here, done.
You really start to
Wonderful
appreciate
sword
that
noise.
towards the end game, though, when the enemies are doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad you're stupid.
Yeah, it's just abusing pathfinding a lot of the time. That's my biggest complaint about that part of it seems too simple, right? It definitely feels like the first game in a series to me. It feels like, oh, we've got some solid fundamentals here. We just got to refine. The two other people at this table are staring at me, and I don't know if they're agreeing or if I'm just being an idiot.
No, I mean, they're pretty simple enemies. I just never noticed that being to its detriment, really. Because I guess to me, it's with action RPGs, like which ones have clever enemies?
Yeah.
True.
I'm okay with
the bosses were fun though. The bosses they kind of remind me of Secret of Evermore, where like the boss battles feel like set pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I mean, the bosses are big and different.
Scary.
Yeah.
They got that scary music.
There's also hidden items throughout the game, which is one of the things that adds to replayability for games.
Mm-hmm. Also, I like that there's secret stuff that you get later in the game that will let you do something earlier in the game to get even more stuff. You know, like when you unlock the sword that can destroy metal objects.
Early on you'll encounter enemies that just can't be hurt. You can't kill them. You can't complete the monster nest until like 2-3 towns later you find the sword that can destroy metal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not a strictly linear game. You do learn skills that need to go backwards and forwards and to complete everything. You also do need to pay attention to like context clues. Eventually you get a rod that lets you enter creatures' dreams. And sometimes in there you get hints. Sometimes in there you find monsters. But the game doesn't always remind you. Have to remember you have that ability because it'll be like 5-6 hours later and there's somebody sleeping. You got to go, oh, that's right. I can enter the sleeping.
Sometimes you have to remember that you have that armor that lets you breathe underwater. Or just walk out into the ocean. Nope. Just go ahead.
And sometimes you got to keep track of whether or not you've got that herb in your inventory that brings you back to life.
Yeah, it's got the lagoon thing of like, you know, or I guess they both ripped it off of Ease, but it's like you have the one curative item and like it's easy to replace, but you have to remember that whether you have that one item or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't talk about Lagoon.
I love Lagoon.
Oh my god.
What's wrong with the lagoon?
The fact that your sword is 1 pixel long.
Well, funny enough, that was done for the U.S. audiences who didn't understand Ease and its bumper car mechanics. It was originally a bumper car game.
Was it?
Yeah, you just ran right into enemies.
Oh, we're going to play that at some point, and I'm going to have to figure out how to do the bump battle.
Yeah.
Are you going to play Ease or Lagoon?
Ease.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fine.
The bump battle, well, I probably would have preferred it if it had been the bump battles, honestly.
Might have, yeah.
Because I found that sword. I know this isn't about Soul Blazer at all, but I found that sword so annoying in Lagoon.
Well, just wait until you get to the end of the game where the sword's actually really powerful, but also only 1 pixel.
I played like the first dungeon. I beat one boss.
I beat
Lagoon.
I beat the whole game,
and I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I beat the whole game, and if you don't like that first dungeon, you're definitely not going to like the 7 boss rush.
I might try the Japanese version though, and if it's bump battle.
It's not the SNES version; it's the Sharp X68000 version. So you'll have to play that one somehow.
Never heard of that, but
you're going to have to learn a whole
I
new
will
system.
investigate.
It's a computer system in Japan that had several really cool games on it.
Oh my!
The Sharp X68000, also called the X68K for Googling purposes.
Since we've got Chris here, we might as well take advantage of his particular skill set and at least address the music of...
It's a good thing I already knew everything about the music in this game because it was sprung on... This whole thing was sprung on me, and I did not research. I just know... I had to Google a name, and that name is Yukihide Takakawa, because that's a hard-to-remember name. But yeah, the soundtrack in Soul Blazer, you'll notice, is not high fantasy. It's more like pop and funk. It's got a lot of funky numbers, really bassline heavy. There's a couple of exceptions to this, of course, like the swamp, for instance, sounds suitably swamp-like. The underwater music sounds suitably underwater-like. But for the most part, like you pop up in a volcano and suddenly like, oh, hell yeah, it's like disco. And
I think I saw the movie Disco Volcano.
Yeah, Disco Volcano. That's because Yukihide Takakawa is a famous pop singer in Japan. I couldn't really tell you. I'm not very well acquainted with Japanese pop music, outside of like what most Americans know. So I can't really tell you like what the equivalent would be in like the US, but he seems to be kind of a more adult contemporary kind of guy. But yeah, it's just kind of like he's a pop singer in Japan. As far as I know, this is his one and only video game soundtrack. I have no idea why anybody asked this guy to make music for a video game, but he did, and he did a great job. And in fact, in the official soundtrack release of Soul Blader, which is the Japanese title of this game, he wrote this song called A Night Without Lovers, which is also, I think it's the Ode to Lisa is also what it's called. Mm-hmm. But it's like this really sad song that you learn close to the end of the game, and he actually recorded a vocal version of it that you can listen to online if you know how to Google those things. But I don't know if he sings it himself. I assume that he does, but he's only credited as the person who wrote the music. So yeah, that's I love Soul Blazer music. It's fantastic.
Honestly, the game is a lot of fun to play, right? It felt to me at least a bit simple, but it was very fun.
Yeah, always wanted to see what's around the corner.
Great description, and I like that.
Now, I haven't played the next two. My natural assumption is that they're going to build on... I know they're not direct sequels. They're thematically similar, though. My assumption is that they're going to build on the fundamentals that were established here and maybe add some complexity and add some more character. But I'm just guessing. I don't know. We're going to find out together.
They're actually
I suppose.
soccer games.
No, it's Mega Man Soccer all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that Soul Blazer allows you to explore the dreams of a tulip.
Yes, that is true. There is a lot of goofy fun to be had in bits and places. I mean, there's I got to get this goat to ram me, or I got to swim with this dolphin.
I like that the goat gives you a tour of the town.
Yes,
that's just great.
I love the idea that the great scientist Leo taught his various animals so much.
Turbo the dog.
Turbo the dog. So one thing we were talking about before we started recording is why has this game... This game is only available on the SNES. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's never been re-released.
Nope.
Chris, why has this game never been re-released? It's so popular.
Well, I mean, it's not. It didn't sell that well. This is from the times before Americans were obsessed with RPGs, so, before Final Fantasy VII, essentially. So this game sold 200,000 units in Japan. By contrast, it sold 70,000 in the U.S. I think it sold just under 300,000 worldwide. For Japanese developers especially, the success number is 1 million. And so this one sold 1/3 all across the world. Mm-hmm. So that's one very likely explanation. People just simply didn't buy this game. Carts now are $200 or $300. The other theory as to why it wasn't packaged with maybe other Quintet games, like the more successful Illusion of Gaia, which was only more successful because Nintendo published it, not Enix, and Terranigma, which wasn't successful here at all because it didn't get goddamn released.
No, it did not.
The Europeans got it, damn their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think the reason for that is
not that he's bitter.
One of the main guys in Quintet is missing. Literally nobody knows where he is, how to contact him, or how to even get that ball rolling, because some of the games, the Quintet games, did get a new life on the Wii. So as recently as 15 years ago, some Quintet games have gotten some more attention, but that's it. And in a recent interview with Yuzo Koshiro, he was like, oh yeah, nobody knows where that guy is. So
what is his secret, and how can I do that?
How can I disappear?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's much easier to disappear in Japan than other places.
Yeah.
Because I said in one of the reviews months ago that I watched every Godzilla film. Well, one of them prominently features this child actor. It's the one that's called Attack of the Monsters, and after that movie and maybe a couple of spots on TV shows and a commercial or something, the kid disappeared. Fans can't find him to talk about what it was like being in a Godzilla film. Nobody knows if he's alive, and certainly if he is alive, they can't find him. So it's a thing that happens.
All I have to say is I hope he's okay, and then good for him.
Yeah.
that's really all I've got for
Yeah.
Soul Blazer.
Yeah.
Simple but enjoyable. That's my takeaway.
Simple and fun.
Yeah, I really, really love it. It's one of my favorite action RPGs on the SNES, so big fan.
Yeah, it's a good time. There's a variety of spells that you can learn. I didn't use a lot of them in my playthrough, but that also means, you could create your own challenges. Hey, in this playthrough, only use this spell or whatever.
At least they're not, like, actually useless like in Lagoon.
So many bad things about Lagoon.
It was an awkward time.
Yeah.
I also like the rebuilding the world aspect. It makes me look forward to a day when we play Dark Cloud, because I understand that's kind of the same thing, except you have more control over how the world is rebuilt. But it's the same idea of defeat the bad guys and rebuild the world.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we got. Thank you guys for stopping by. We will jump on Illusion of Gaia at some point.
Heck yeah.
Yahoo! And I don't have any idea what to expect out of that, so that'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Good times.
All right.
Because I do know what to expect.
Flutes.
Flutes.
Apparently flutes. All right. See you guys next time.